Morning. Welcome back to Raymer Reps. So we're going to do a slight kind of vlog today. Just kind of recapping the preparation for the last competition I had and how I did. And just kind of some of the things I took away from it. Things to practice. I signed up for another one in September. That I will be training for, working to just kind of make sure I'm following the cues and just having good preparation for that. So that was my first competition was the last weekend, and overall it went really smooth. Could have been better, obviously. I prepped for the 90 kilogram weight class, which was about 198 pounds. I was going into it, I was about 206, roughly. So not too bad. Not a lot of weight to lose, honestly. So I worked on just kind of cutting calories a little bit, less sweet, sugar, cutting my total calorie intake by about 500 calories each day. So that way I was in a caloric deficit. With doing that, it was able to cut down closer to probably about 202, 203 pretty easily. And then with that, I pretty much had a lot of food and water weight that I just kind of had to also get rid of. And so the week up to the weightlifting competition, what I did is that Tuesday and Wednesday, I started cutting the kind of food I was eating. And so I was doing more like lightweight food. So yogurt, so like Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, stuff along that line that was almost kind of like fluidy but solid at the same time. Nothing massive like, any type of big carbs like potatoes or any bread, that kind of stuff I cut out, as well as really big chicken, any kind of meat that was thick and heavy, cut that out as well. So going into Wednesday, I had started doing that, and then Wednesday evening, I started drinking more water than I normally would, almost twice as much. Going into Thursday, same eating process, and then the whole Thursday, I just drank a crap ton of water. And the reason being is you go into Friday, still eating the same kind of thing, but then what you'll do is instead of drinking, you won't drink any water, and that way your body is constantly just pushing out your water weight because it is expelling water as if you still had too much. And so with that, I kind of just kept the weight down. So by the time Saturday morning came, and I kept monitoring my weight each morning, so I was at like 199, 198, and then going into Saturday morning, I didn't eat or drink before the weigh-in, obviously. And so once I weighed in, I was at 89 kilograms, which is about 195 pounds, 195 and a half pounds. So I had a little room to wiggle room. That was weighing in. So you weigh in, you can either go all the way down to like your boxers. You have to have boxers on. I had like really light gym shorts and my boxers on. So I just used that. And even with those on, I was under. So I came in at 89 kilograms. So good. First powerlifting competition, was in the weight class I wanted to be in. Now, there wasn't anyone else in my weight class, crazy enough, at this competition. There was either higher or lower. I was the only one in the 90. And so really I was just competing against myself, which honestly kind of, I think for the long haul or for the beginning portion. Made it nice. That way I didn't have any extra like external stressors, I guess you could call it. But with that, you know, I do recommend once you get that weigh in. So the process usually, I mean, you got to check in at 7 in the morning. Weigh in starts at, you know, you do your equipment check in at, you know, 7 o'clock. Weigh in starts at 7:30, but you're not always the first one to weigh in. So you got to stick it out until you get to do your weigh in. And then at that point, you drink, you know, a whole thing of like Pedialyte to get your electrolytes and water intake back up. Do a protein shake to get, you know, your protein in your body. And then I would have snacks. I kind of messed up with this part. I didn't get as many snacks to eat prior to lifting. Thank God my wife was there. She was able to bring me stuff to get some more carbs. So that way I had that glycogen and everything in my blood and more energy throughout the whole competition. So going into it, you know, I was a little prepared, but not as prepared as I will be the next time. And so I would recommend having some sort of snack bars, stuff like that, just with carbs, sugars, you know, stuff to replenish anything that you have been cutting out the prior week. And that way you can make sure that you're back up to strength for when you actually start lifting. So lifting didn't start till about 9:30. So I was there, you know, 2.5 hours before I even really started lifting, which was good because that gives you time to ingest all your stuff, let it settle, get your energy levels up, take pre-workout, whatever you need to do to get prepared. So that's what I did. I brought pre-workout. I took it about 30 minutes probably before I was slotted to lift. So there was 3 lifting tiers. There was an A, B, and C. I was in the B tier. I think it was based off your weight class and what weights you were going to be lifting. Because if you're lifting lighter weights, they don't want, or heavier weights, they're not going to put you in the first tier because then they have to change a lot more weight than they would if you were in a area where people are lifting similar to you. So just keep that in mind. That'll probably put you in either an earlier lifting slot or later lifting slot, depending on what weight you're lifting. So I was in the middle tier based off of my weights I was doing. Generally towards the middle or the bottom of that tier, but it worked out all right. It's still, you get plenty of rest, I'm telling you. There's a lot of downtime in between your lift and then also your subsequent, so like it starts off with bench. So we did bench, flight A went, then us and flight B went, you know, and there was probably 10 to 15 people in that tier. So, you know, by the time it gets right back around to you, you've had plenty of rest time to prepare for your next lift. And with those lifts, so whenever you're first checking in, you go in and you go to the bench to make sure you can tell them what height you want the bar to be at so you can easily get it off and unrack it yourself. Now, they do allow basically assistance to unrack it when you're benching. And then also the safety bars. Generally the 5 is probably good, but just make sure you're checking it. You don't, when you're putting the safety bars, you want it to where once the bar's on the safety bars, it's not touching your neck or anything like that. And so the point of it is if it does crash down, you're not hurting yourself. So just keep that in mind if you go in and you're setting those safety bars up. And then you do the squat rack as well. You go in, they just have the bar on it. You try to, now just keep in mind, it's going to be you're going to probably, if it's hard to get it off without any weight on it, just remember it's going to be even harder with the weight because you're going to be pushed down more. And so if the height that you've selected, you knock it maybe a little even with just the bar, I would go 1 down. That way you don't have to worry about knocking it on the way out. Now, with these, the great thing is they have it to where you can, there's a selection where you can do in or out. So if you do in, it makes it a little bit easier, so you can try to keep the height higher, but you don't hit those things once you come out, because it keeps the angle of it to make it easier for you to unrack the bar. So just play around with that to figure out your right height. So you have to go in, you submit your heights for those safety measures and your heights for the bar. Then at that point, you have to provide them also your first lift in each category. So your bench, your squat, or your squat, your bench, and then your deadlift. So that's the order it goes in, is squat, bench, deadlift. So that you start off with your squat weight, your first. Just remember though, whenever you're going in, so you give them your first weight, it's going to be in kilograms. They had a conversion chart that made it pretty easy to figure out if you hadn't done it already. I recommend trying to do some leg work beforehand. Just remember, each kilogram is about 2.2 pounds, okay? Now, based off the weights that they can put on the bar, that'll change a little bit on what you can actually do in kilograms. But you can probably either Google that to figure it out, or just wait and you can kind of update your conversion once they have it, because they'll have a sheet there that'll help you out. But with that, just keep in mind, your first lift, you want it to be a lift you can get easily. The reason being is you want to have at least one green check in that category. If you have all reds in a category, you're automatically not going to have any type of placement in the competition. Okay, so this is kind of what I ran into with bench. And then, so, it was a learning lesson, like I said. But have a weight that you know you can get pretty easily, maybe get 2 or 3 times without any issues. Then your second one, make it where it's a challenging one, either close to your previous PR, right under or right at it. And then your third one, if you're, have hit that first, and your second one, set it as something that challenges you, that's either, just above your PR or whatever you're mentally wanting to try to hit, and just go after it. So I tried to do this with deadlifts, and I'll get into this later, but that kind of got messed up, but it's all right. But once you select a weight, you cannot go down in weight. So that's why I recommend making sure you have something you can hit pretty easily. So if you start off with a weight that normally would be difficult, don't put that as your first weight, because you cannot go down if you cannot hit that. And we're not going to be perfect in every category every lifting time. You might be weaker in chest or weaker in legs, whatever. So just keep that in mind. You can only stay at or go up in weight. So I'm going to go through the different lifts, and I'll put the videos up of some of them on here to kind of let you see what it was like. But like I said, we started with squats. That went pretty well, actually. Now, Qs I did not do great on. So my very first one, I unracked it, and I think it was just because it was my first competition. I didn't study enough on the Qs, honestly. I didn't watch the people ahead of me very well. I was just trying to stay in the zone. And because of that, I missed the starting Q. So you unrack the weight, you have to hold it and wait for them to give the signal to lift. So then you go down, you come up, you gotta hold it again and wait for the rack command. Then you can put it on the rack. First time, I just went down, squatted it, put it back up. I listened to 0 cues. And so, big learning lesson there. On the second attempt, I started off, pound-wise, it was 415, roughly, with the kilograms. That kind of, messes that up a little bit. But 415, hit it fine, whatever. Second lift, I went up to 436 is what it ended up being. And what happened is I don't know if I had just didn't brace correctly, whatever. Now, 435 was my previous PR for squat. And so with kilogram stuff, it ended up being 436. And honestly, it was tough. And so I had to basically stick at that weight, try it again for the third lift. All right. So I got up to my third lift, unracked the weight, waited for the rack command, went down. I don't know if I had great depth. It's hard to tell in the video. You guys might be able to do better than I can with that. But anyways, came back up. And then, of course, the way I've always trained is I would never hold the bar for, 2-3 seconds and then rack it. So my immediate instinct is once I got back up was to take that step forward to put it on the rack. So DQ'd on my very first set, basically. I had the lift, but missed the cues. If you miss any of the cues, it's an automatic red X. You don't get any greens. And so, bang, right off the bat, I was kind of already in a mindset slump because, squat is one of my good lifts, but I kind of messed myself up with it. So that was my learning lesson with squats. So now I'm practicing doing the hold, 2-3 second hold at the beginning, making sure I'm getting plenty of depth. I already got some videos out kind of demonstrating good depth. So good depth is basically where your hip crease is at or below your knee level. And so that signifies having a good depth for a squat. Now, you got to figure out what's easier for you to do that. So a really wide stance for some people helps with that. But that tends to put more pressure, I feel like, on your lower back and your glutes than a little bit slimmer stance. And that helps you utilize your quads more. But the only thing to think about is you might just practice both and see what's easiest for you to get down with just the bar even, because we all have different ways our hips are aligned and everything like that. So not everyone's going to be on the same as far as how it's easier for you to get down in that squat. So I have videos out with that, making sure I'm hitting that depth, that kind of thing. So now, I'll have those videos on here as well. One of the sides here. But then I went in and had a 10-minute break between doing squats and bench, all right? And then, of course, they do a 10-minute break, but also on flight B again. So it was probably more of like a 20-minute break. So you get a lot of downtime. But keep that in mind too, is with that downtime, your pre-workout, your energy levels can fluctuate. So I would recommend having either energy drinks or more pre-workout, just to kind of sample in there to keep your energy levels up. Things that your body can break down quickly, Rice Krispie treats, granola bars, whatever stuff that will give you energy and carbs. So just make sure you have those snacks on hand, and drink plenty of water and electrolytes, because you're probably depleted from the previous 2-3 days. So your energy levels, like I said, with just kind of sitting around and stuff, can fluctuate a lot. And then before you go into your next tier and you get ready to lift your bench, you do get a time period where you can warm up again to prepare. So like once Flight A was doing their second bench attempt is when I started kind of warming up to prepare for us to do our bench attempts. And honestly, bench felt fine whenever I was warming up. I just, the most I got to was just doing 205. I'd come down, pause, and I did that for 2. It felt pretty good, but it also felt heavier than I was expecting it to in the warm-up even. So that's why I recommend starting with a weight you can get 2 or 3 times. That way you can get a green on the board. But so the bench cues are as such: you unrack, you hold it, wait for the lift command down, you pause at the bottom. All right, now it's touching your chest. It's basically almost resting on there, but you're keeping tension. Then you wait for the up command, hold it up, wait for the rack command, rack, okay? So 3 commands with that one really, that you can follow, that you need to follow, sorry. I started too high. I did not train the pause near enough at the bottom. Now I'll probably get some slack for this, but you'll see in my videos, I rarely ever train. I mean, I didn't train pause. Let's just be honest. I was doing the touch and go, or maybe even a little bounce and go. And so it's a completely different lift with the pause. So the big learning lesson going forward is making sure I'm training bench twice a week because that's my weakest point. I tried 236, like I was saying, and it couldn't go down. So I just tried it all 3 times, didn't get it up all 3 times. And I'll show you the video of that too, or at least 1 or 2 of those. But I did good at following the cues, but I just couldn't execute the lift. Bench wasn't strong enough. My previous max is probably 250, 255 right now, but that's not paused. I think I did 225 paused previous to training before the competition, but 236 was significantly harder, I think, than I thought it would be because of having a higher max before. I was like, oh, okay, I'll do 236. Then for my second lift, I'll try to do my previous max of 250. And then maybe for the third, if I hit that, I'll go for 260, 265. But it did not work out that well or that way. So learning lesson, definitely training the pause twice a week right now. 3 sets of 5, as you can see in my videos. The most I've gotten up to is 200, doing that for 5. But I still have to build up. So like yesterday I did bench again, and I'll post this video probably later also. But a buddy of mine, Christian, who also is training for this competition, we were doing bench and deadlift yesterday. And the most I got up to, I think, was 190. I think I did 180, 185, 190. And I got the 190 for 5. So that was good. And that was even on the last set. So what I'm going to do is basically, I'll probably go in 190 next time. I'll do 190 and try to get 190 for 5 for all 3 sets. And if I do that, that means the next week or the next time I try to do bench, I'm going to do 195 and try to do it for all 3 sets. And then just keep building up like that. And then, so this will be about a 4-week training block that I do that. And then basically I'll switch to probably 3x3 for 4 weeks or somewhere in that range. And then probably like 3 sets of 2 with maybe a 1 in there, something like that. But I digress. So bench needs a lot of work. And you'll see those videos it's defeating when you don't get even 1 lift through 6 attempts. I had 0 successful lifts. All right. So kind of embarrassing. Your mind definitely goes down quick. But it was good. It was all right. I had support there. My buddy Christian, who's going to be in this next one. Like I said, he was there supporting me. My wife and our foster kids were there earlier in the day, so it was great. I had plenty of support and people that were, trying to keep me hyped up. So once we get done with bench, boom, off is another 10-minute break. Flight B again, obviously, towards the bottom of Flight B, so 20, 25 minutes before I'm lifting again. Get like a pre-workout sample from one of the vendors there, some greens, drinking a crap ton of water, just getting prepared for deadlifts because I'm like, okay, I gotta have a successful lift. And deadlifts, honestly, as far as cues goes, there's 1 cue. So it's honestly one of the easiest lifts to do. You don't have to worry about any kind of crazy things like depth and, stuff like that, or holding pause for bench. I feel like one of the easiest ones to do. And my record showed that. So I came in, starting with basically 450. That flew up, and I'll have that video here as well. You'll see that just up and it goes up. And the cue is you just hold it at the top till they say down, and then you ride it down to the floor. Don't drop it. Don't shove it down. Ride it down to the floor, because if you do drop it or throw it down, you won't get that lift. So just ride it down to the floor as you see me doing the video. The next attempt I came in at was 473 pounds. Like I said, because this was in kilograms to pounds. And I can't remember the exact kilograms that I had on there. So I think it was 205 kilograms, 215, and 220 kilograms was the numbers. So 273, bam, I felt like that was real smooth. Unfortunately, I do not have the video of that one. I will post a screenshot of my numbers at the end of this video, so you'll be able to see that I wasn't lying. That was a clean lift. I love deadlift has become one of my stronger lifts. Like I said, bench has always been my weakest, and squat I do pretty well. Ohana. And so that was good. I enjoyed doing that. My last lift, I told the person 225 kilograms. They did 220, and by the time I really noticed that they had put down the wrong number, it was too late. So whatever. I went up there. It ended up being about 284 pounds. I was gonna try doing 295 basically, which 220 kilograms, 484 pounds. I was going to try doing 495 pounds, which if you're a lifter, that's basically 5 45-pound plates on each side. And so that was my goal. I wanted to get to that, basically elevate myself from 4 plates to 5 plates, because I've never gotten 5 plates on each side before. So anyways, the 484 went up well. It was definitely a struggle. Last lift of the day. You know, you're putting everything on the table. Luckily, they had chalk there you could use, so that was great. Definitely enjoyed that. You got your belt, your singlet, and my chalk, lifting shoes. Now for deadlift, you have to have basically knee shin high socks. So if you don't have those already, go in, purchase something like that. You can make sure that you are following the rules and the regulations, because basically they do that because a lot of people pull the bar up against their shins, and they don't want people's skin or blood on the bar, obviously. And so everyone has to wear shin knee-high socks when you're doing deadlift. So deadlift, like I said, the only thing you gotta do, you bring it up. You can do double, however you want to hold it. Sumo, conventional. You just have to hold it at the top, wait for the down command, ride it down. Easy lift. So got all 3 greens on the last thing. So luckily I was able to end on a high note, hit a PR. I had never hit 484 yet on deadlift. My previous was 475. So great. It was a good lift. I enjoyed it. It was a great day. Equipment wise, like I said, you have to have a singlet. I had where you could have knee sleeves, not knee wraps. So those are different. Knee sleeves are like, and I can put it on there, like my Gym Reaper ones I use, you'll see in my videos. They're not wraps, and it has to be like less than a certain thickness to be able to qualify that. So had my knee sleeves. For squats, you can use wrist wraps for like your, I'm trying to think what, for a bench, if you need to. You have to have a belt for squat and deadlift. Your lifting shoes. That's pretty much it. Not a whole lot of equipment necessary. Just make sure if you sign up for a competition, you go and look at to make sure your equipment qualifies. They post out the rules and everything like that. So when you get there, you don't have to freak out and be like, oh, I can't even use my belt, you know, stuff like that. Just make sure you're planning accordingly. So yeah, I'm gonna post up my final results. Have I think a screenshot I can put up of that, attach it to this video. But it was a great learning experience, and I'm excited for my next one. For number wise, squat, I'm hoping I can get that increased up, but if not, hey, you know what? If we hit 436 there, that'd be awesome, and with a clean lift. So honestly, I'm probably gonna go pound wise. It'll be like 405, 415, and 436. Is gonna be how I try to do my squats. Just making sure I get a good lift right off the bat and follow the cues. Bench, I'm gonna start off at like probably 210, 210 pounds, just something I know I'll be able to get at least one time following the cues, and then I'll probably jump up to 225, so that's the 2 plates. Hopefully I hit that on my second lift, and then if I do, we'll go to that 236 probably again for the third lift, and hopefully hit that. And if I can hit that, you know, I got about a 16-week training block that I can do between now or the end of my last competition to my next one. So that's a big training block. I should be able to get some good gains in that meantime. So I'm super excited about that, and just being able to have a successful bench attempt in the competition. And then to finish it off, deadlift, I'll probably go like 465, might probably be my starting number, you know, whatever that is kilogram wise, whatever that ends up being. And then I'll probably hit, I'll go for my second one, will be 484 again, so 220 kilograms. If that goes smoothly, we might try for 500 for my final lift. So yeah, good stuff. I'm super excited. Christian and I will be probably training a lot together because we're both preparing for this competition. We're in different weight classes. I'm going to actually try to cut down even more to the 82.5 class. So that'll put me at around 181 and a half pounds. So like I said, I was about 195 this last one, and I've been maintaining that kind of same weight. You know, like I'll wake up in the morning and I'm like 199, 200, whatever right now. So I just got to do my calorie deficit for these 16 weeks, and that's a long time to slowly lose weight. So I'm hoping to get down to about 185 the week before the competition. And if I do that, I'm pretty confident I can lose 4 pounds by the eating and water manipulation, just losing food weight and water weight before the competition. So hopefully that goes smoothly. I can get into that lower weight class and just push some heavy numbers. But other than that, super excited. Can't wait to get out more videos to y'all. You'll be seated on here, and then of course on YouTube and TikTok. So man, let's just kind of keep each other motivated and focused, and just have fun with it. Love you guys. Raymer Reps out.